Hello there, it's me, Donovan. I just love celebrating things that have no meaning to it whatsoever. For example, oh my gosh, this stupid garbage ass piece of drifting plastic is 5 years old? Oh boy!
Yeah, the Nintendo Switch really is 5 years old. 6 years since it was first unveiled, 5 years since the death of the Wii U, 2 years since the death of the 3DS, and still no Animal Crossing Amiibo Festival port. What the hell is this crap?
The Nintendo Switch is a system that's very close to me. What felt like a eternity with the Wii U, even though it was 4 years, the Switch and its 5 years barely feels like any time has passed. And despite its 5 years of life, it still has so much life ahead of it, with so many new games releasing. So I thought I'd sit back with you and take you on a little retrospective on the history of Nintendo's greatest comeback.
The history of this stupid piece of plastic cannot be talked about in full without the history of this other stupid piece of plastic. The Wii was a huge hit for Nintendo and provided a new way to play games. This is the definitive way to play games. The Wii had sold 101 million units to date, and if that sounds unbelievable, check underneath your bed, you might have 5 Wiis down there. The Wii was able to capture a huge portion of the casual market through the use of the Wii Remote. This blunt murder weapon of a controller revolutionized motion controls for the industry and paved the way for many great games. Unfortunately, due to some of Nintendo's games implementing bullshit controls, weak hardware, and mountains of shovelware, many of the hardcore gamers felt very left out during the Wii era. So when it came time for the Wii U, Nintendo felt that they needed to not only pull the casuals back, but also to pull in the hardcore gamers too. A very simple goal for the Wii U, at least on paper. Now, how well did it succeed at that? The Wii U offered a new way to play, that being a Fisher-Price toy. The gamepad was the Wii U's big selling point, giving you a new way to play. For example, with the Wii U gamepad, you could tap the screen to make blocks appear in New Super Mario Bros. U.
Yeah, I have a bigger dick than you. I'm the player that puts blocks on the screen.
Immediately, everyone knew that this wasn't gonna cut it. Many thought the gamepad was simply just an accessory to the Wii. I mean, I wouldn't blame you. The reveal trailer literally emphasizes how this is a new controller and barely shows the system. Along with the fact that the name of the system was Wii U and it rhymed with PU. Yeah, I don't think you got a hit on your hands. When it actually came down to the system, the specs were far from what hardcore gamers wanted. When asked why the bad specs, Nintendo simply shrugged the complaints off and talked about how HD gaming is their way to win over the hardcore gamers. Their mentality of hardcore was that it was either HD or not HD. We're HD now, so now that problem is solved. But when your system can barely run YouTube, no amount of HD is gonna win anyone over. The Wii U was confusing casual gamers and was turning away hardcore gamers, so there really wasn't any audience for the Wii U except for the Nintendo fans. Michael Pachter said that Nintendo fans would be stupid enough to buy a piece of cardboard with Mario on it, and honestly that just hurts, man. Even if some of us bought the Wii U, there's no way we'd—
God damn it. God damn it.
The system flopped hard. At times it was selling even worse than the PS3, Xbox 360, and even the Wii, making this Nintendo's lowest selling console ever. Luckily though, Nintendo still had a trap card, as in 2013 they held the year of Luigi, and through Luigi's infinite power they were able to still lose $456 million. Being a Nintendo fan during the age of the Wii U is nothing short of fucking shit. Barely any games are releasing, and while the Wii U did have a handful of really good exclusives, they still weren't enough to bring sales up. The low sales, combined with Nintendo making fools of themselves, made being a fan miserable. Their news was so dry, Nintendo had press releases like this. Nintendo hired a spokesdog. The only thing keeping Nintendo alive during this era were its dedicated fans as well as the 3DS, and even then, the 3DS wasn't doing the numbers Nintendo wanted it to. The future simply didn't look so bright for Nintendo. Many fans even thought that Nintendo would and should eventually move away from the hardware business like Sega. Nintendo needed a huge comeback. In 2015, Nintendo held a conference as they announced they were partnering with DNA to develop Nintendo mobile games. However, then President Satoru Iwata didn't want to give off the idea that Nintendo was leaving the hardware business, so he explained how Nintendo was making a new system under the code name of NX. Rest in peace, Iwata. Many blame him for the failures of the Wii U, but many people fail to see how much of an influence he had on the Switch's development. So, 2016 came and went, and the legacy of 2016 is... Leaks were rampant and were crazy for the NX. It was pain living in 2016. But finally, in October of that year, Nintendo finally revealed the NX as the Nintendo Switch, and at long last, it was a good day to be a fan. All shown in one hell of a trailer where, unlike the Wii U, Nintendo clearly showed off what the Nintendo Switch was all about. Play anytime, anywhere, with its 3 modes of play: TV, handheld, and tabletop mode. Nintendo further detailed the Switch in January of 2017 with the Switch presentation. Details of brand new games, the Joy-Cons, and shitty online were all present and was announced with the release date of March 3rd. I vividly remember coming back home from school on launch day with the Switch just sitting on our TV console. I even recorded a video of it.
I'll die before I make this public.
The Switch launched alongside with Breath of the Wild, which was huge. The launch and success of the Switch might have been different if Breath of the Wild didn't launch with it, as it played a huge role in getting new systems into homes. I mean, it certainly wasn't going to get into homes via its raw power. The Nintendo Switch is powered by a custom Tegra X1 chip made by Nvidia, a chip made for mobile devices, released in 2015.
This thing is weaker than my iPad.
Yeah, even when the Switch released, its power wasn't so hot. Power-wise, the Switch is a bit weaker than the base Xbox One. The Switch also came with these plastic straps, this hunk of plastic, and quite literally, a shell of plastic. But the main star of the show are the Joy-Cons. The Joy-Cons come with so many features in a tiny package: long-lasting battery life, HD rumble, gyroscopes and accelerometers, amoeba support, the ability to split into 2 controllers, useless, and a waste of $80. Yes, we have to address Joycon Drift. I swear to God, in the first month of me owning my Switch, the left Joy-Con drifted, and that was so goddamn annoying. Joycon Drift wasn't too big of a highly known problem near launch day, but trust me, it got real bad later on. For more hardcore gamers, or just for most people in general, I would say that the Pro Controller is a necessity. Now this is one hell of a controller, just the right amount of heft to it, super comfortable, amazing battery life, refined HD rumble, motion controls, and actual D-pad, as well as working analog sticks. This is one of the best controllers ever. The kickstand on the Switch is absolutely atrocious though. A gust of wind could probably break it. Now, the Switch's main gimmick was its flexibility of play, and this is just genius. I mean, Nintendo has always pretty much dominated the handheld market, so why not draw that demographic into the same market as your non-handheld market? You can play on the TV with your Pro Controller, then quickly take the Switch from your dock and start playing it in handheld mode on the toilet. God doesn't give a f***. He's seen your search history. Then you could take it with you to a party, whip out the old stand, hand another controller to a friend, and boom, you're playing in co-op, bitch. This simple yet genius gimmick made the system sell like hotcakes, and not even a year into its life, the Nintendo Switch outsold the poor leapfrog-looking ass son of a bitch. Nintendo's marketing strategy also didn't suck balls this time. Instead of a bunch of bratty kids screaming at their parents to buy them a Wii U, Nintendo opted to use slightly less bratty kids explaining what the hell their system is, alongside more adults and pure visuals. They also made sure to stay far, far away from the Wii brand to let people know this isn't your grandma's console, this is for men only.
You want a Wii U this holiday? We'll watch and learn. Here's Mom. We already have a Wii, sweetiekins. Here's you. Wii U is a total upgrade, Mother. When did you get younger? It has Super Mario 3D World, Legend of Zelda The Wind Waker HD, and Rayman Legends. Yeah. And it comes with 2 free games. Hot button popcorn, that's it!
Of course, you can't talk about the Switch's success without talking about its must-buy game, Breath of the Wild. What more can I say about this game? It's literally considered one of the greatest games ever, and is also my favorite game ever. Zelda was going open world for the first time ever, which was huge. And not only that, but it pulled its open world off spectacularly, with Breath of the Wild making such an awesome open world to explore, along with how it's just a Zelda game, combined with new hardware made the Nintendo Switch sell like crazy. You cannot talk about the Switch without Breath of the Wild. This is the game for the Switch. Makes you wonder how would have the launch went if Breath of the Wild wasn't there, or if it stayed as a Wii U exclusive. When the Switch train got started, there was no stopping it. Release after release after release, Nintendo was breaking sales records everywhere and was seeing success they've never had. You have the best-selling fighting game of all time, the best-selling racing game of all time, best-selling 3D Mario, best-selling Zelda, best-selling Luigi's Mansion, a new Metroid game, Fire Emblem, so on and so on. It even had the best-selling and most popular shooter in Japan, and just flat out had the best-selling game of all time in Japan. The Switch has seen unprecedented success in almost every area. The Nintendo Switch soon got Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, which is a port of Mario Kart 8 on the Wii U. Do I really need to explain Mario Kart to you? It's both the best-selling Switch game of all time, and also the best-selling racing game of all time. Alongside Breath of the Wild, people literally buy Switches for this game. I don't need to explain it. Switch also got Splatoon 2, an amazingly fun and unique shooter where these squids shoot their, ink at one another. There's just so much to do in Splatoon 2. So many game modes, guns, customizations, maps, and it even has a single-player mode. Literally, the single-player mode is a bunch of floating blocks. But on the other hand, we got Octo Expansion DLC, which is just leagues better than the regular single-player. All in all, it's another great system seller. What can I say? Everyone just loves shooting ink at each other. The release of a new Mario game is just as inevitable as you going to breathe. Super Mario Odyssey. What can I say about this game? Again, another one of the best games just ever. Mario Odyssey took the sandbox style of 3D Mario games from Mario 64 and Sunshine and just turned it up 20 notches. This is just fun incarnate. You will never have a bad time with this game unless your name starts with a Matt, in which case I guess you're just immune to fun or something. Otherwise, this is another system seller for sure. I mean, it's Mario. The Switch also has Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, the best-selling fighting game out there. Everyone is here, every character you could possibly want, and also Byleth, and also Najino. There's just so much content you can get out of this game. You can either be a fucking casual, be a sweaty competitive, play World of Light for some reason. No matter what you play, it's just so much fun. It's just a shame how much more fun it could be if this thing didn't exist. Way back in the Switch presentation, Nintendo mentioned how they were going to start forcing users to pay for online. This, however, was delayed until late 2018, and until then, you could play all games online for free. So everyone was having not a great time. The online wasn't super good, but at least it was completely free. Then Nintendo Switch Online released in 2018, and how did the world respond? Yeah, it's safe to say that this service is fucking atrocious. Online play is most of the time god-awful with constant lag or disconnects and is no better than it was when the online was free. But, that's not all. With Nintendo Switch Online, you can upload save data to the cloud, but not with all of them. Uploading cloud data of Splatoon 2 or Animal Crossing might let people duplicate items, you see. So instead of Nintendo doing something just to make sure that can't happen, they just make it so you can't upload Splatoon 2 or Animal Crossing save data at all. Sucks for you! Nintendo also killed off Virtual Console and sacrificed its corpse to give you a selection of NES and later on SNES games alongside Nintendo Switch Online. A selection that's pitifully small and has games added to it at a snail's pace. Seriously, all of this shit makes the Wii U's online look more appealing. The Wii U, Jesus Christ. Nintendo also made a companion smartphone app. This thing is awful. This app literally can suck my balls. This app is so goddamn useless. Literally a good 50% of the screen is just a logo. Why aren't there more game-specific services? I'll admit the Animal Crossing and Splatoon services are really helpful, but the Smash Bros. One and everything else about the app is garbage, as well as this dumb, stupid, dummy, dumb, stupid service. Being horny is a feature of the Smash Bros. Service, then I guess I'll give it a pass. The app did recently get updated with new stalking features. Hell yes! Now I can catch people being dumb fucking idiots, but it's still not enough at all. Oh, but I almost forgot. You can use this app for voice chat. Yep, now you can voice chat. Not through the game, no, through your phone. It's not like there wasn't some other app that did this voice chat better. Cough. Oh yeah, in 2018 we also got Nintendo Labo. Moving on. Now we move on to 2019. The Switch later down the line saw the return of a largely successful Mario Maker with the release of Mario Maker 2. Luigi's Mansion also got its long-awaited sequel and has become one of the system's best games. Ring Fit Adventure also came out this year, a brand new fitness game from Nintendo and surprisingly a top seller. Then the Switch got Pokemon Sword and Shield. This game is for all of you Ocarina of Time tree lovers out there. It's Pokemon, of course it's a system seller, but unfortunately it's plagued with lazy and boring game design the series has been suffering from for a long time now. First, hardware upgrades. Firstly, with the 01 model. The difference between the 01 model and the original model is that the 01 model significantly improved battery life thanks to the new Tegra X1 Maxwell chip, which basically improves the efficiency of the system while keeping the same power. Other than that, yeah, this is the same old system. Same old piece of shit kickstand and all. They also released their first hardware revision of the Switch, the Nintendo Switch Lite. Even after the Switch launched, the Nintendo 3DS was still being sold and receiving tons of games. I vividly remember in 2017 how I had to juggle between buying both Switch games as well as 3DS games. Also in 2017, Nintendo released the new Nintendo 2DS XL, the final hardware revision of the 3DS. It was upon its release that people started finally making their calendars in preparations for the 3DS's death. Imagine being born and people are predicting when they'll die. The 3DS was an amazing system, but with its numerous releases, even after the Switch's launch, its sales tanked hard. The 3DS was on its way out, and many people were beginning to think whether the 3DS would get a successor or not. Turns out, that successor would be the Nintendo Switch Lite. Handheld mode is the primary focus of this iteration. This Switch literally cannot switch. No TV mode or built-in tabletop mode, only handheld. Since the system is only handheld, the system needed to make a few adjustments to make it more suitable for handheld play. The form factor was smaller, no HD rumble, IR camera, and no Joy-Cons. Though the system does come with an actual D-pad, so that's nice. With all these added up, it makes the Switch a lot more portable, and with a more unified body, it makes the system look and feel really good. It's also a full $100 cheaper, hooray for budget options, although the system still uses the same analog sticks found in the Joy-Cons, which, you know what that means. And yes, the Switch Lite uses the same Wi-Fi chip, you dumbass! There was a little funny infection going on, produced by the bitches themselves. Everything in the world was put to a halt, shipping dates, manufacturing, development, etc. Nintendo was hit hard when the pandemic hit. Many of their games set for 2022 were sadly delayed, which resulted in a pretty dry year when it came to Nintendo's output. At the beginning of the year, they put out a port of New Super Mario Bros. U, being New Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe, and its legacy. But then at seemingly the right time and moment, when the pandemic set the world into lockdown, Nintendo released one of their most successful games ever to hit the Switch. Animal Crossing New Horizons was originally set for a 2019 release date. Either Nintendo was just fucked up in 2019 or they were some twisted prophets. At a time where many people were held up inside their homes doing what gamers do best, not touch grass, Animal Crossing was the perfect game for everyone. Now you can live your life the way you want, away from all the horrors of the Corona beer. The simple and relaxing gameplay of New Horizons was just so captivating to tons of people, especially during this urgent time in human history. It made the game sell insanely well. I'll be seeing Isabelle in my A-Push book. The game went on to be the fastest selling Nintendo game ever and went to become the best selling game in Japan, just ever. In a span of a few months, New Horizons also became the second best-selling Switch game ever. The already popular Animal Crossing series was further boosted by the hermits of the pandemic, making the game skyrocket in sales. My aunt, who probably doesn't even know what the fuck a Mario is, bought a Nintendo Switch just for Animal Crossing. The game was that huge. In the time of need, New Horizons brought people that were far apart closer together and single-handedly carried the Switch throughout 2020. 2022 was also the 35th anniversary of your favorite fat-ass Italian. To celebrate, Nintendo released the worst possible collection ever. The Super Mario 3D All-Stars collection sold Super Mario 64, Sunshine, and Galaxy all together. Practically zero improvements to 64, widescreen for Sunshine, and 60 FPS for Galaxy. That's it. Compared to other collections like the Sonic Mega Collection that had tons of games and content, as well as just so much love poured into it, it makes 3D All-Stars look like a little bitch. I could make the 3D All-Stars UI in Photoshop. And even better, Nintendo was gonna kill the collection on March 31st of 2021.
What the fuck?
The day Mario died will never be forgotten. Age of Calamity, a prequel to Breath of the Wild, released as a Warriors game. The problem with Age of Calamity is that it ran like piss. Constant frame drops all over the place, sometimes even dipping below 20 FPS, really started spurring up conversations of the pitiful hardware of the Switch. If Nintendo couldn't even keep up with their own hardware, then you know that performance is a big issue. Many third-party games around this time were being criticized for running or looking like shit. Some games opted for cloud versions on Nintendo Switch, which is basically inferior in every way. You have to be on the internet at all times. On top of that, you have to have good internet to even have an enjoyable experience. Frame drops, lag, latency, what is this, Switch Online? You can't even play these cloud games on the go because you have to be connected to the internet. I know why developers do this. The Switch hardware just isn't capable most of the time. However, games like The Witcher run natively on Switch and is an awesome port. Though obviously this takes a lot of time and a lot of work, and oh, poor EA doesn't have the money or time to make quality ports or even just games, so just slap a cloud version or update the roster, they don't care. At the end of 2020, Sony and Microsoft were gearing up to enter the 9th generation of consoles with the PS5 and the Xbox Series S and X. Two vastly more powerful consoles than the Switch, with tons of AAA games releasing for them and skipping on the Switch, unfortunately. However, these consoles were basically impossible to find because of the funny beer virus, so Nintendo was still able to come out on top during the 2022 holiday, making it the best holiday for the Switch despite the new consoles. So yeah, that was 2022. Just a bunch of nothing happened with only Animal Crossing to carry the year. But what did 2021 have in store for the Switch? Well, at the beginning of the year we got one of the best ports of a game ever. Super Mario 3D World re-released for the Switch with numerous enhancements across the board, most notably online co-op and improved movement, and also featured a new side mode, Bowser's Fury, which seemed to be a little experiment Nintendo was doing for Mario. Could we see more of Bowser's Fury's style of play? Well, we'll have to wait and see. Monster Hunter Ryze released exclusively for the Switch for a year, and was a wild success in Japan and overseas, bringing the multiplayer monster son of a bitch slang to the Switch. But probably the game Nintendo made a huge deal about was the release of Metroid Dread, an amazing return for the Metroid series. Nintendo promoted this game hard, and justly so, as this game had great attention to detail, amazing world design, tough as nails bosses, beautiful controls, and like a pretty alright story. Nintendo knew they had a great game on their hands, and Metroid fans agreed. Buy this game now or I'm coming to your house and fucking your Ever since the Switch first released, rumors of a Switch Pro were always circulating. With how weak the Switch is compared to any other console, a more powerful version of the Switch has always been desired. So what did Nintendo do in response?
They had sex and made a disappointment.
The Nintendo Switch OLED released an astounding... The system came in white, had better audio, and a beautiful kickstand, oh boy! But the biggest improvement comes with its bigger and better OLED screen, which is just a major improvement over the old LCD screens in every way. The biggest problem though is that this was still using that dinky Tegra X1 chip and had zero improvements to the power of the system. While the improvements it did have are nice, this really should have been the standard Switch model, and the lack of any power improvements makes this very disappointing. Now, 2021 wouldn't be a special year, no, because it had updates to the worst thing since the Wii U. The Nintendo Switch Online Plus expansion pack released to the worldwide reception of... This piece of trash service just got worse by introducing a more premium piece of trash that gave us a handful of N64 and Genesis games, and also some DLC for select games that you may or may not have. No improvements to the online or anything, no, it's just literally a handful of ROMs and DLC for games you might not even have or care about for an extra $30. That's more than double the amount of the regular subscription. So yeah, that sure was a 2021. Moving on to 2022, the game that kicked off the year was Pokemon Legends Arceus. Finally a breath of fresh air for the Pokemon series, introducing multiple small open zones for you to throw your balls at wild animals. And all the way to the present, where we have a bunch of new announcements for games, and also the release of Kirby and the Forgotten Land. The first ever 3D Kirby game, this game is critically acclaimed and has been talked about as the greatest Kirby game ever. Though a bit on the easy side, it takes the level design of Mario 3D World and cranks it up a notch. This world is just so fun and colorful and oh, just so adorable! This is much more of a world than Mario 3D World. That game focused on platforming, while this one focuses on exploration. A great game for new and experienced players.
So yeah, that's the story of the Nintendo Switch so far at March of 2022. I thought it'd be fun to take a look in the past of Nintendo's little piece of shit. From its highs of Breath of the Wild and Mario Odyssey to its lows of Nintendo shit online. The Nintendo Switch has proven to be a wild success for Nintendo, and it appears to not be stopping anytime soon. The life of the Switch seems very bright, especially this year, with new games like Nintendo Switch Sports and its terrifying new Mii replacements, a return to Mario Strikers, another Fire Emblem Warriors game, Mario Kart 8 DLC, finally, Splatoon 3, Xenoblade 3, a new Pokemon generation, Bayonetta 3, and Breath of the Wild 2. And that's just what we know so far. Nintendo hasn't even announced all their games for this year. Not to mention the possibility of a new mainline Mario game, a true Nintendo Switch Pro, heck, Metroid Prime 4. Point being, although the Nintendo Switch may be aging, it still has tons of life ahead of it.
We'll also see a lot more competition this time around from Sony and Microsoft, as unlike last generation, it looks like all big three companies aren't pulling their punches. Talking to you, Wii U and Xbox Connect, we even see more direct competition with Nintendo with Valve's Steam Deck, which answers the problems of the Switch with more powerful hardware.
The Nintendo Switch is truly an amazing system and a fascinating comeback story for Nintendo. I truly can't wait to see what the Switch has in store for us next year and the years to come. But I swear to God, if this kickstand falls one more goddamn time, I'm gonna take back everything I said. Son of a bitch!